welcome back to Honda Happenings. And what has been happening? Well, you think probably not a lot, seeing as I'm sitting in the same place as I was at the end of the last episode, but stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in again. If you haven't already, please subscribe down here somewhere. And if you like the video at any point during the ensuing moments, give it a thumbs up, because it all makes a big difference. Appreciate it. Yes, we're primed. Oh, we were primed last time, weren't we? But there's more. Yes, we're primed. And yeah, it's drying in the sun very quickly as I put it on, almost. Yes, I just happened to have half a can of primer kicking around, which is why I did the wheel in the first place. And now I've done the tank. As you know, it's my kind of exploratory coat, having filled and sanded just to see where all the bumps are. While we're waiting for that to dry, why don't we have a look at this seat situation in a little bit more detail than before. As you may remember, it kind of fits perfectly, but not quite. Yeah, we've got that gap. So it's what to do about that gap and how we translate the available fittings to marry up with the pan, because I think we're going to keep the pan. So I think what we need is some kind of metal piece that fills that gap. I think what we should do first is work out how we're going to fit it, and then see what that gap looks like, and then see how we might be able to accommodate some kind of filler piece. And I think we should wear the shower cap for this operation. Yeah, I know, like that. So we've translated those posts onto the pan, on the underside of the pan, by measuring this inset, which was 32.7 millimeters. So that's where they are. And it looks like the other two at the back are going to fall kind of on the crease, which might be really handy. Whether we take them on the upswing or the flat piece, well, I'm not sure at this point. I think we're going to deal with the front end first and just see what that is. And I think I mentioned last time, I can't find it now, actually I found it the other day when I was looking for something else, but using a sleeve bolt, there it is. Yeah, possibly using a sleeve bolt, which is one of these. Yeah, so yeah, that's not good, is it? Well, anyway, you see what I mean? It's threaded inside, so that would go through the seat and then bolt up to that if it was the right thread and if it was the right length and everything else. Because obviously these are welded into the plastic and nothing we can do about that. They're a little bit on the short side, aren't they? Yep, we definitely have to find some of those sleeve bolts, because that's not going to reach, which is disappointing again. Anyway, never mind that, let's get on with something else. I know it's not orange, it's yellow. I just had it kicking around. So we're going to just try our paint design on the tank, see whether we like it, see whether we like the look of it, see whether it's another crappy idea. Well, actually, it's not bad at all, honestly, for a first hit. There's a little ding there that I missed, I guess, and just statutory wolf hair. But otherwise, actually, all the previous prep with the angle grinder seems to have been quite well resolved. Anyway, let's mask it up and hit it with some yellow. Okay, first step is to just loosely lay it down on the line that I want. And as you see, obviously we need to finish that bit up, and it's going to come around there, and then I don't know what I want to do on this, so I'm going to play around with this bit and I'll show you when I finish. So meantime, we're going to tear this bit in half and then seal it down properly, obviously on both edges, like that. Don't worry about this bit, we're going to put a bag over that. Well, you can't use it for fish and chips anymore, but you can use it for masking. So, I think we're ready to give it a hit with yellow and just see what it looks like when we're finished. I'm excited. This is my favourite bit. And there we have it. Well, let's see if we can do this unwrap kind of live, as it were. difficult one-handed, obviously. Let's get rid of the paper to start with. Obviously it's going to be primer and yellow, not black and orange, but it'll give us an idea about what it's going to look like. It's that easy. There's always one difficult sod. There we go. Let's try it from here. Well, there you go. Obviously the cap, petrol cap, will be chrome, so that'll be orange, and that'll be black, and it won't have my shadow in the way. I think that kind of works. Kind of like that. And I'm also thinking some kind of graphic, so maybe the end result will look a little bit like this. Meantime, that little ding filled, and another new one. Yeah, I dropped the bloody tank when I was messing around with it, so there's a dent in that back wing. You probably spotted it. Anyway, that will be repaired. I thought I got away with it, but clearly not. So yeah, we'll just sand that down, prime it all up again, ready for the orange paint when it arrives. Lovely jubbly. Meanwhile, I've been watching a few more videos and having a look at the manual here on the front forks, and I think I know what I need to do. Because we effectively lopped off 3 inches off the top of the spring, 3, maybe 4 even, with those shorter springs from the 78 CB750, we need to add a spacer in the bottom to effectively take up that slack, but move this up that. Is that clear? Let's say we're going to move the piston up the shaft. How about that? Does that work? So we're going to start one side at a time. Loosened off the bolt here, and then the other one down here. They were fairly loose, so I'm guessing the kids had the forks out, messing around. So hopefully that should just pull out now. Yeah, needs a little bit of persuasion. Yeah, and we all know what that means. Yes, a little tap with Thor. One extra thing with these silly air things on this side particularly, we have to take this off first, obviously, because that ain't going to slide through the forks there, is it? No, the yoke even. Not such a problem on the other side. We are going to replace these. I think I've found some. They're not cheap, but then nor are these, so we'll throw these on eBay. Now the other thing, at least as I understand it, is that this whole air ride thing provides kind of some of the preload on the shocks. So if we're going to replace that with just a standard cap, and we've shortened it 3 inches at least, then our spacer might need to be, oh hello, there's a chopstick. Our spacer might need to be another inch to give it a bit more preload. That's what I'm kind of understanding about. So we're going to start with 4 inches because it was at least a 3 inch shorter than the original spring, which we can check when we get it out again, I guess. What we should also probably do while we got it all apart, because everyone else does, is put some new oil in there, because that's probably not been replaced. So yeah, we'll do that. Yes, probably shouldn't have laid it down on the bench even temporarily. So actually that oil looks pretty good. Maybe he renewed it. Yeah. Yes, so we need to get some fork oil. No, we need fork. Yeah, I know what it sounds like. And actually there was fork oil in there, to be honest, which might have been a problem, might have explained the boinginess, might not, I don't know. We'll see how much we should put in there according to the manual, and adjust accordingly when we put it all back together again. So at the other end of the operation there's a 6mm Allen head, which I'm using this for because it's better than messing around with an Allen key. Right, well the manual tells you to put all this in a vise, soft jaws, to undo this. But as long as it's not too tight and you've got a little bit of muscle, just put your hand on that, push that into the bench. You've got a flat surface there, so it's not going to roll, and then that came undone quite nicely. And there's the Allen bolt out, and as far as I'm aware, I now tip this up that way and everything else falls out the bottom. That's the idea. Hope you're watching carefully. Yeah, there you go. That'll be your piston. And this is where we're going to put that 4-inch spacer. Here. So what we've got to find is a bit of metal that's 4 inches long and fits around this, but not around that, right? And I just happen to have some that's absolutely perfect. I actually use this for just gaining a bit of leverage on handles and things. I can't remember what I bought it for, and I think I've got some more kicking around because that's not going to do both ends. Well, it might at a pinch. Anyway, that is absolutely perfect, right? So it slots over and just sits there. How amazing is that? Cool. Yep, I knew I had some more of it kicking around. So there we go. That's lovely, isn't it? Because that's no delay, because I've actually got stuff, which is kind of what happens as you do more and more of this. Yes, more and more of this. All that. Yeah, as you do, you kind of build up your own stock of bits and pieces and useful parts and bolts and things, including saving the good stuff off bits that you take off and then trying to keep it organised. Anyway, I digress. Let's cut these mothers. I'm just going to cut the one for now, this one. And the beauty of this being aluminium is that I didn't require the old angle grinder. I just used the hacksaw. Good old granddad's hacksaw, still the sharpest, and no effort required really. And there it is, just finished it up on the whirligig. Make it nice and smooth, rat tail file on the inside, and I'm not sure whether it should go spacer spring or spring spacer. I can't see it's going to make much difference, honestly. So now we're just going to drop it back in there, like so. Wiggle it around a bit, and it should fall out the bottom. I'm going to have to do this two-handed. With this particular model, it's a little bit more tricky because we've got this kind of shroud all around the end of it. So normally that would just kind of pop out the bottom. Anyway, I have reinstalled the M6 Allen nut bolt even, and I used the spring itself to just keep everything down that end while I was tightening it up, and it's kind of tight. So that's now fully extended with that spacer in there. So what I'm going to do is get the other side off and just compare the two, just to make sure all this is going the way it should do. And then we'll just do the other side and put them back on again. And order some Fork oil, because we currently have Fork oil. It's still funny the second time around, isn't it? Or is it the third time now? Oh, I forget. Well, folks, here it is. Yes, indeedy. 4 inches shorter. Sweet. So there's that one back in place, and yeah, maybe that's a little too short. I don't know. We can always take a little bit off the spacer at least, right? We've left ourselves some tolerance, some room to play with. And actually, while I got these apart, I need to measure the internal. I'm pretty sure it was 31 by 1.5 pitch, hopefully, for the end caps, which I think I have sourced from Dime Motorcycles in Dodge City. I don't know. Anyway, those end caps run at about, I don't know, 35, 40 bucks. These run about 75 to 90 something, and that little piece there, brand new, 250 bucks. Yeah, this bit. Yeah. So that's in good condition. That's 150 bucks sitting right there. So before I put this one back on, because I've shortened it now, yeah, the preload is quite a lot there. To get that spring down and the cap in place is going to require quite a lot of muscle. I don't want to shorten the spring anymore because I haven't actually cut this spring, and it's kind of nice that I haven't. So I think what I'm going to do is take 1 inch off that spacer and that will give me just enough. And that, I mean, the preload on that is going to be half an inch. It's probably sufficient, honestly. Yeah, I think 4 inches was a little bit OTT. I mean, most people only shorten them by like 2 inches, so yes. By Jove, I think we've overdone it. Perfect. Yeah, shaved an inch off, fully extended just inside there, so with a little bit of persuasion and pressure on the spring, we can get our new cap on there. Remembering to fill it full of oil first, and we'll have a little bit of preload. Do remind me to put the oil in, that's the kind of thing I forget. So all in all, quite a simple job, honestly. It appears to be daunting, but it's really very easy. Messy, so I'll get yourself some rags before you start, because there's oil everywhere. Popping the springs temporarily into a dustbin liner was very effective. Not. So yeah, all in all, quite oily and messy, so be prepared for some cleanup. Not on a BP scale, but you know what I mean. So yes, all in all, a very messy job. So we all have to work together as a team, and that means you do exactly what I say. I'm pretty sure you can't do it without emptying the fork of oil, therefore you're going to need oil, which I haven't got, stupidly. Before you start the job, you're going to need lots of rags, you're going to need Allen keys and whatever. And in case you just joined in on this episode, I happen to have some springs from a 1978 CB750, just to recap, as opposed to this bike. This fork is off a 1982, and the 1978 springs are about 3 inches shorter than the 1982 springs, so I didn't have to cut the spring, but the spacer that we ended up putting in was 3 inches, and that's down here now inside. Has to equate to what you chop off the spring. So effectively we chopped off 3 inches, we put a 3-inch spacer down the bottom end, and it's a job done. So it really is very simple. I just happened to have some springs that were pre-cut, if you like. Lovely. So let's measure these just to double check before we order the standard end caps, and then we can get this all bolted up. So now all that's left to do is get those caps on order. 31mm, 1.5 pitch, and some fluid. Yes, some of that. 172 cc's of Dextron ATF SAE 10W fork oil. I might add some of that kicking around. Anyway, so I would say that's a job well done, and I think I said already, far less daunting than it should be. So don't be afraid to lower your forks. It's only slightly more complicated than dropping your pants, depending on how complicated your pants are. So in case you're following, all we need now is some orange paint. No, not for that. Well, I mean, we need it for that, but we need it for this. And once we get that painted up and sand down all the little spokey bits, then we can bolt the front end up all together, and it's a job done. Thanks as always for tuning in, and do tune in again next time to see progress. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe down here somewhere, and of course encourage others to watch my lunacy.